Hi, I'm Kelsey with Kelsey Freeman Photography, and I'm so excited to share with you behind the scenes of a recent newborn session I had. Sweet baby Cora came to see me. She was only a few weeks old, and we were able to get unwrapped poses as well as wrap poses. So I'm going to be showing you guys how I got all of those, so stay tuned. But I figure I'll go ahead and go over a little bit of the details on the photographer side. So as far as lighting goes, I always use a Godox AD300 for my lighting, and I like a really soft diffuser for that. So I use an 86-inch PLM, and I have 3 different diffusers on top of that because I really like a soft light for newborns specifically. So that's my lighting. I only use the one light. And as far as equipment goes for my camera, I have the Sony a7R4, and I typically shoot newborns with a 35mm lens. That way it's nice and wide enough I can be really close to the baby. If I use something like an 85mm, I'd have to be so far away from the baby, and that's just not safe. So I use a 35 so that I can be right next to baby. All right, there are a few key items that I absolutely love to have on hand for newborn sessions because it really helps keep baby happy and soothed. So the first thing would be the shusher. It has different timers on it, so you can go up to 45 minutes, and it really just shushes. I'll let you hear it. It does that over and over again. And the next thing I love to have is the Lullavibe. It is just a little paddle, and once you turn it on, it vibrates, and I can just sit it on top of baby or right on the little bed where baby is, and it'll kind of vibrate. It's just very, very soft and subtle, so I love the Lullavibe. One other thing that I always have on hand is a heater, just a tiny little heater, something that you can keep baby warm with, because I promise you, babies do not like to be cold. They like to be so warm and toasty. So there are several different ways you can pose baby, but some of my favorites happen to be using props, and you can use props with an unwrapped baby or a wrapped baby. So some of the props can be a bucket, a basket, a tiny little bed, even a dough bowl. And one of my favorite posing aids is actually a dog bed, like a large dog bed for extra large dogs, and you just put blankets on top. Sometimes the babies are really not feeling a pose, and so I do have several props that I prefer to use when babies are not really feeling a certain pose. And one of those would be a bed, just something simple where I can lay baby down straight on their back, just a nice relaxing pose where babies aren't actually having to pose. They can just kind of lay there and be themselves. So that's what we did first with Miss Cora, is we have a sweet little bed, and I was able to just lay her down on it. But you can also do that on just a dog bed and put blankets on top, and you have a nice open space just to lay baby down straight on their back, and then you can shoot down and angle straight down towards baby, and they're not having to do all the extra posing and everything like that. As you can see, Miss Cora was a little bit fussy with me. Sometimes babies just need a little bit more time to settle into a pose than others, and babies have such a crazy startle reflex, so any little thing can make them jolt. And so if you keep them nice and secure and their arms together, they feel so much more relaxed and comfortable, and they are more likely to fall asleep and not jolt. That's why babies love to be swaddled, is because you can swaddle their arms and they are not going to be flinging their arms out everywhere and scaring themselves and waking themselves up. So you can see Miss Cora's hands are up by her head, and I'm just holding my hands on top of her hands and trying to settle her down and soothe her without swaddling her. I'm using my hands to be the swaddle basically, and I'm holding my hands there until she settles. And you can feel when a baby settles down, and once they settle, then you slowly remove your arms and see if you can get the picture. And if you start to remove your arms and you feel that baby is not quite settled, you'll notice, because they'll start to resist and fight against you. Just be patient. Take your time, put your arms back, and wait and try to soothe them down, and hopefully they'll get there. So when you're shooting down above baby, you want to watch your angle of how you're shooting, because you don't want to shoot up the baby's nose. It's not very flattering. So I always like to shoot for kind of the top of the forehead and the top of the eyes. It doesn't give you too much head in the picture, and you don't have too much up the nose. You really want a nice, just kind of straight on shot. So really watch it. Sometimes you have to move baby and tilt them up a little bit. A lot of photography with newborns is an illusion as far as the posing goes. So anyway, just keep that in mind when you're shooting down. Try not to shoot up the baby's nose. Okay, now when it comes time to the bucket pose, this one you really want to watch out for safety because babies can flop out of this thing. I'm not kidding. Babies are stronger and quicker than you may think. So I always like to wait and do this pose when I have a nice, relaxed, happy, sleepy baby. I do not like to do this pose when babies are awake, and very rarely you will have an awake baby calm enough to safely do the bucket pose. It is possible, but a lot of people do not err on the side of caution, and they are a little bit more risky with this pose, and you don't want to be playing around with somebody's newborn baby when it comes to safety. So just wait until it's the right time to do this pose in the session and don't force it on baby. So with the bucket pose, the first thing you really want to make sure you have are weights to go in the bucket. I would say at least 5 pounds, but really like 10 pounds would be super on the safe side because you want to counterweight on the bottom of the bucket since baby is right on the edge of the front of the bucket. You do not want that baby tipping the bucket forward. That would be awful. So make sure you put weights in the bottom of the bucket first. And then after that, depending on the bucket I'm using, you'll want to add some sort of filler or riser to lift the baby up. I use the Hello Little risers for a lot of my buckets. I use the Hello Little Bucket Hugger for most of my buckets, but if there's anything that I can't use the bucket hugger for, then I'll use just little pillows, just tiny little beans or something like that. Just make sure baby is nicely supported on their chest and their tummy, but you do want baby to really be like lifting up and looking up. You want their elbows nice and high, and you want them looking up really high. A lot of times babies like to like hunch forward into a ball, but for this pose, take your time and work baby so that their head is looking up. That's ideal for this pose because otherwise you're not gonna see as much of the baby's face probably with the ideal lighting. The other thing I wanna mention are the fingers. Fingers make a huge difference. Now, of course, you might not always be able to be super picky. Sometimes you gotta get what you can get, but if you're able to take the time and be picky, try to watch the fingers and make sure you don't have little like claws coming out. Try to make sure they're all soft and together and not like kind of doing all of this or too tense. Okay, I'm here with baby Cora and we are gonna put her in this bucket. So what I'm gonna do is keep her in the outfit she's in. I'm just gonna take the top part off of her shoulders and her arms out, and I'm gonna swap off her bonnet so it matches. But here's what I've got going on in this bucket. The most important thing to have are your weights. I've got 2 weights down here in this bucket because you just don't want a baby toppling over in a bucket. That's never a good thing. Then on top of that, I have 1 riser from Hello Little. And then I also have this. I want to say it's called the bucket riser. But anyway, that comes in the front. And it's super sturdy. It has the ledge for their hands to go on. So this goes inside. And then what I like to do next is I just put this kind of down here like that. I'll add 1 little something for the tummy. And then this helps soften everything up even more, super fluffy. And I just kind of lay it in there like that. So I'm gonna fill you guys in on something. I personally always do my bucket with the light on the left side, but because of this bonnet, I wanted to show this off, and I just kind of had to pose her this way for it to show it off. So I'm gonna be doing my posing completely backwards than normal. So it's probably gonna take a minute to adjust, but that's a-okay. We got it. We got it. Yes, we do. So we're it backwards. Let's think. So I'm gonna take her left hand this time, and we're gonna put her left hand under her cheek first. And once you hold them there for a minute, then put the other hand underneath the hand and put them in. I am gonna skip this step because of our, I don't wanna show too much skin, so I'm gonna skip that part. But just know I've got 1 hand placed, I'll put the other hand underneath, and then I'm gonna put her in this bucket.
my god. Right. You can put your left.
Okay, so when it comes to wrapping babies, this is one of my go-tos because first of all, it's super cute, but also it's great for when you have a fussy baby or if you need to really try to get a baby to go to sleep for a harder pose. Wrap them. They love to be wrapped and often fall asleep into a nice deep sleep for me. So there's many different ways you can wrap a baby, but I have like 2 to 3 like go-tos that I love to do all the time. So my first favorite is the little peeky toe wrap, and it shows their little feetsies sticking out. So for this peeky toe wrap, my favorite thing I must use underneath is this right here. It's called the Swaddle Pro, and it is basically an epic swaddle for this pose. You can use it for many other poses as well, but this one specifically, it's got a little hole for the little feetsies to stick out of. So let me show you really quick what you do. You just lay baby right on here. This folds on top of their arms, and this is what gets you that nice like straight jacket feel. Then you put this on top, and their little feetsies can stick out here. This goes around the back, and then this goes under the booty, and the baby literally fits in here. It's super stretchy, super breathable, but yeah, it Velcros, and there are several different kinds of Velcro. You can get the quiet Velcro, or you can get the regular Velcro, which is the normal loud Velcro, but it is so strong. I prefer the loud Velcro that is strong for any of those babies that are really not feeling sitting in a pose and they're trying to kick and get out, but you know that it's for the best and they're going to love being swaddled. So I promise you, check it out. You will not regret getting one of these. They also offer it in newborn and 3-month size as well.
Okay, so we've got our baby. What we want to do is we want to lay her down so her shoulders are just right here at the top of this fabric. So pull my knees up because I want her head at a back angle. Lay her down. And just make sure this is right at the top of her shoulders. Then what I like to do is really pull my knees up so she gets at that position where her head is looking up to the ceiling. That's what we want for good lighting. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and that way her head's going to kind of go back. Then I want to take her hands and just place them right under her little chin. Then we're going to take this and wrap all the way over. Take this and wrap all the way over. We'll Velcro in the back. So I'm going to take her feet and I'm going to put them together and bring them up to her tummy just a little bit, like this. Then we can take this whole opening and put her little feet right through. Bring this around her knees. And then we just tuck the little tail in the back and Velcro shut. So here's the little swaddle. This is what I have underneath my wrap. All right, now it is time to do the top wrap. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come near the tail of it, come inward a little bit, and that's where I'm gonna tie around her feet. And I'm literally just gonna use the wrap itself to tie around itself in a little knot. Go a little bigger. You don't want to grab too much fabric either because you'll make your knot really like big and bulky. You also don't want that. All right, feet are in. Now this wrap I kind of tuck under the butt. I bring this side, this tail around, kind of tuck it. All right, then I'm gonna take the other side
And we're gonna go, I'm gonna kind of pull this to cover right down here. Then we're gonna come up this way, wrap around, and if you got extra, bring it back around town. Cross back over. And just like that, you have a sweet little wrapped up baby. And then just adjust the fingers. So there is our baby. All right. There's our headband. And there's our sweet baby with her little toes. So what I ended up doing for this peeky toe pose is I put her on my doggy bed. So I lay my doggy bed out and then I put several blankets on top. And I also have risers that go underneath the blankets. I get those from Hello Little. And then I also have the head wedge as well. And that kind of has like a little divot in the middle that keeps their head from wobbling around. So anyway, I stack a few of the risers and the headpiece on top and then put all the blankets on top of that. And it's a nice smooth kind of surface and I can lay baby down and baby as a nice inclined angle for me to get great lighting and to get a great shot, not up the nose. And I played around with flowers during this. I wasn't exactly sure how I wanted these tools to be laid out, so I kind of laid them out in a circle and framed baby, but then, you know, scattered them as well. So we had some fun. So that was all from Miss Cora's newborn session. I hope you guys enjoyed it and maybe learned a thing or two. If y'all are interested in anything photography related or like to see more sessions like this in the future, feel free to hit subscribe because I've got so many more videos coming where that came from. So anyway, thanks again for watching. Bye guys.